Hey, what's up? How you doing? I just realized I said a bunch of greetings in a row, so that's a little awkward. But yep, we're doing another Cinema Wins reaction, third one right now. I don't really have too much of an intro I can think of, but this is one I for some reason just really wanted to do, and that is watching Cinema Wins' video on the Hunger Games, which yep, it's a movie that I was really excited to do when I did a Cinema Sins video on it last year, and like I was a little obsessed with Hunger Games for a little while, for a few months when I was doing those first four movies, and then got back into it when I did a prequel. So yep, here's some more Hunger Games because yep, I still really like this series, and we're gonna react to his Cinema Wins video on it on the first one. So yep, that's all I'll say. Let's get it over with and play. I wonder if Lionsgate is going to copyright this because they were really picky with my Hunger Games videos. Lionsgate's by far one of the pickiest companies. So that's going to be frustrating.
And that knits us all together.
Just so it's clear up front, the Capitol and its people are crazy, disillusioned, and if not full-blown evil, teetering very close to the edge.
What defines
I hope that's clear. Yeah.
Other than that beautiful beard, right? I mean, it's not a beautiful beard win, but it is pretty. I'm just saying that I wouldn't leave you behind in a water planet if it came to it. That's all.
your
Yeah. Sure.
personal signature?
Ha! Good answer.
To hear the lamentation of the women.
Very much. Yeah. Like that was honestly one of the best cuts. Honestly, like just letting us know. Yep. Up. That's what the Hunger Games does to you.
Hey, it's the new Mystique girl. I bet she won't turn into the most beloved and highest paid actress in all of Hollywood to then only be turned on after one rude comment.
Yeah, I don't know what rude comedy he's talking about, but yeah, it's kind of crazy how people turn on celebrities like really fast, like just like that. I like Jennifer Lawrence; she's cool and all, and she was really good as Katniss, and I would say Mystique too, but I mean not in Dark Phoenix. But we're getting off topic. Here we go.
A quick pan around District 12, some might say too quick given how shaky the camera is.
Yeah.
Given pretty much all we need to know. They're poor, like licking the fat off squirrel bones poor. In case you did.
Yeah, nice show don't tell there. Like they had to establish. Like I said in another video, I watched these movies before I read the books, so obviously I didn't know like all the details, but I immediately understood what was going on from these visuals. Like they did a really good job, like letting us know, like, oh, so Pana or District 12 in particular is super poor and they're starving and all. Like they did a good job establishing that without narration too.
Didn't understand that. That's Katniss checking to see if she's been winded. She now realizes she's upwind from the deer. Though you should never dry fire your bow like that, I'll assume it wasn't a full draw, we're getting some clues and visual exposition about Katniss's hunting proficiency. The main reason I bring it up, and will continue to bring it up, is because the book is written in first person, so the temptation and really the easiest way to give us information would have been narration, which they summarily avoid.
Of course, he brings brings it up as soon as I bring it up. Yeah, really cool how they're able to do that. I remember they were able to get across so much without narration, especially because yeah, the books are told from Katniss's perspective, the first person view. I do remember hearing somebody talk about how the books do have a lot more of, like shows more of Katniss's inner thoughts, like telling us a lot more what she's going through and feeling through so many things. If you've only seen the movies, you don't really get too much of that, which is fair enough. But I still get a decent amount, you know, because J Law is that good of an actress.
Startling technology. It's like a jarring anachronism.
Oh,
It gives this
yes.
movie a unique feel and starkly contrasts the districts with the Capitol.
Yeah, it's like just in case you forgot, this movie is set in the future. Yeah, there you go. Oh, it is genuinely crazy how it's like all the districts and even the games themselves looks like present day or even the past. But then, oh yeah, it's set in the future because the Capitol has all this advanced technology that they're not sharing. It's really cool.
That our tongues are worse.
A little Avox shadowing. They never talk about the Avox?
They don't.
Avox referencing.
Yeah, the only Avox in the movies is just Pollux, right? And Mockingjay, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they don't really talk about them too much in the movies. Yeah, I mean they are some of the darker aspects of the Capitol, so I kind of get it. But I mean, then again, they're not really that important to the story, so it's not that big of a deal.
Never having kids.
actually surprising that anyone would still be having kids.
Yeah,
It's
right?
proof of the Capitol's cycle of abuse. You need kids to work in whatever trade your district does to provide for your family. Plus, what are the odds? Right?
How many times?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean that's fair enough, but still, like, why would people actually have kids in this society? But well, then again, yeah, you do need them to help work and survive. Yeah, I mean, without Katniss, obviously her family would be long dead by now. So yeah.
How much did your name in today?
42.
If I hadn't been paying attention, that may have confused me. But I am, and since Katniss said to Prim,
It's your first year, Prim. Your name's only been in there once. They're not gonna pick you.
my genius brain deduced that the older you get, the more times your name gets put in the bowl. And if you've read
Yeah.
the book, you know you can also trade your name for food.
Yep, I know that now. And that's something else I really love about CinemaWins. They respond to a lot of criticisms from CinemaSins. This is before CinemaSins released their resyn of the first movie, so he wouldn't have known about that. But yeah, that is a response to one of CinemaSins' sins in their original Hunger Games video, and I even responded to that particular sin as well. So yeah, I love that fact that Lee actually responded to Jeremy there, because yeah.
It's a Mockingjay.
How much?
You keep it.
Ooh, woman, you don't even know what you started.
Nope.
Also, the mayor's daughter Madge is looking really haggard.
Made some.
Yeah, I know that's a difference too from book to movie. The fact that it was originally in the mayor's daughter that gave her the pin, but then again, I that's one of those understandable changes. Like, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't. She's not that. I don't remember her being that important of a character anyway in the books. She died when the Capitol blew up District 12, right? I'm pretty sure.
Something out for you too. Okay.
Putting on a brave face.
As long as you have it, nothing bad will happen to you.
Technically, since she was picked, then someone volunteered to take her place. The pin worked.
Yeah, I said the exact same thing, and I will admit, I kind of stole that from Lee. It's like I remembered this video when I was writing my video, and I kind of stole that. So, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that, Lee.
No one really likes shaky cam.
No.
I mean, it makes you feel sick, you can never focus on anything, but of all the times it's used sort of lazily, it actually makes sense in this film. It creates an uneasy tension throughout the reaping and adds to the absolute terror these kids would be going through. And the
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like shaky cam isn't always bad. There's sometimes it does serve a purpose, but yeah, I would say a lot of times in this movie, yeah, it feels kind of like it's there, yeah, and it doesn't really need to be there. Yeah.
close-up shots of Effie's caked-on makeup shaking all around her perfect Capitol face create a strange grotesqueness. And Elizabeth Banks is an
Yeah.
attractive woman.
She
So
is.
it's no small feat to give us the impression she'd chew your eyebrows off.
And then came the peace. Hard fought, sorely won. A people rose up from the ashes, and a new era was born.
Man, talk about the victors writing history.
I volunteer as tribute.
Self-sacrifice, saving your sister, standing up to the man. I always know it's coming, but it still chokes me up.
Me too. It's a great
Added to
scene.
the realism of the documentary-style shaky cam, there's also a very uncomfortable amount of silence. No real score leading up to this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then James Newton Howard's amazing score finally does come in to punctuate the district's act of defiance and support for her sacrifice in one motion.
Don't take any extra food from them. It isn't worth putting your name in more times.
Well, would you look at that? You don't even have to read the book to know what she's talking about. It's also
Oh my gosh. They did actually mention that. I honestly forgot about that. Like, yeah, again, I responded to that sin, and I forgot that they did technically talk about that in the movie very briefly, that yeah, putting your name in helps get you more food. Yeah, I forgot that the movie actually did address that. Yeah, my bad.
also gives the whole story a purgy feel as well. The poorer you are, the higher the odds you'll be reaped. And now we're given the opposite of the reaping atmosphere. All score, no sound effects, giving the entire scene the ethereal, out-of-body feeling they're no doubt experiencing.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm gonna get a copyright claim for this music.
Joy. All of this.
Everyone's hard on Effie, and for good reason, really. But other than rebelling, which, look at her, what's she supposed to do? It's her job. And can you blame her for trying to make these kids' last days enjoyable? I mean, they're already crying. Talk about a crappy job. I realize she has no clue what they would actually care about, and this probably makes their last days worse, thinking about their poverty-stricken families choking on squirrel bones. I promise, last time I bring up squirrel bones.
Congratulations.
I mean, yeah. Not too much to add about Effie. Yeah, she definitely is a little bit insufferable in the first one, but then in the sequel, she's definitely a lot more. I don't know what the word is, but nice. That's not the word I'm thinking of, but yeah.
Embrace the probability of your.
I love Haymitch.
And speaking of people in crappy situations, what kind of tortured life does Haymitch have?
Mm-hmm.
We learn about his past later in the series, but had Katniss not volunteered, he'd be staring at Prim and the sheep-faced boy right now. Then he's supposed to invest emotion in them when he knows they're gonna die? If he wasn't an alcoholic, I'd be surprised.
Oh yeah.
Even if he wasn't, it's fair to say that he may have just started drinking this day to deal with it all. Here's another example of simple visual exposition. Katniss understands that they will be competing against each other, and she already feels like Peeta is trying to gain an edge over her. You can hear her thoughts without hearing her actual thoughts.
Normally,
That is mahogany.
Species lessons.
Oh, and another ad.
Women's flavor of the year, yuzu, picked straight from nature.
Oh, here we go. Sorry about that.
Cleanliness.
I'm sorry that this happened to you.
Leave it to Lenny Kravitz to be the only decent human in the Capitol.
Yep.
I'm definitely a fan of this technology, but you can go right ahead and delete that busy street setting for me. Can you imagine the freak out you'd have the first few mornings waking up to that?
That's fair enough.
Whoa, that's Eddie's friend Chloe from The Path. Being female in Hollywood, where you go from 17 to your mid-30s in 5 years.
Interesting.
I hurt my ankle. I think I'm going to have to sit this year out.
You might have a better chance.
Oh, sorry. That previous the win I meant. Yeah, honestly, it made me remember that. Oh yeah, it's like I've seen Jennifer Lawrence play Katniss, who's a teenager, and then I recently watched Passengers not too long ago. That movie where she was star along with Chris Pratt inside a spaceship, and she plays a full-on adult in that movie. It was weird, a little jarring for me. Because I have to remember, oh yeah, she was technically in her 20s when she played a teenager, but she plays a teenager really well. So yeah, that's a little bit of a funny thing there.
Chance of winning if somebody comes after you with a
I
knife.
have no chance of winning. None. All right?
Honesty.
Yeah, he really didn't. If it wasn't for Katniss, Peeta would be long dead. Yeah.
Soggy burnt bread. A career showing off montage is the fastest way to end up peeing your pants.
Sure.
You might be thinking, who are you baking cakes for? And then, if you've watched the movie so far, you'd hopefully say, oh, yeah, right, for the Capitol. Since every district is just there to serve the Capitol.
That's another sin that CinemaWins brought up that I responded to. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, the cakes were made for the Capitol because they are supposed to be. They are slaves to the Capitol. I'm sorry, YouTube, that I said the word. That I said the S word. I'm sorry, it's YouTube. Not really, but yeah.
What did this 5'6", 120-pound 14-year-old kid just mess up to currently have worse odds than the 4'8", 65-pound 12-year-old? Haha, it's funny because someday you may actually need to stab your sister. Or better yet, maybe we'll make you both careers so you'll have to.
That's a heartbreaking scene, honestly. Seeing how much the Capitol has affected kids, like making them, yeah. Oh man. I think that scene in the next movie too, where that one girl is like, someday I'm gonna volunteer just like you, and it's like, oh no, like the effect the Hunger Games has on kids is horrible. Yeah.
See, that's called character growth. Hope is a powerful drug, as Snow points out later. Haymitch finally has someone to believe in after years of sorrow.
I guess that's kind of another response to CinemaWins, where he was like, Haymitch goes from a drunken guy, an alcoholic, to solving that problem in a matter of seconds. And I guess that was a response to that. I'll admit that was not what I said. I personally looked at it as, well, he wasn't going to drink while they were training, but I never thought about that. Like, he kind of saw he had some hope in Katniss and Peeta, and that's why he stopped drinking as often. Which I guess that's probably another way of looking at it, maybe.
So this makes perfect sense. Number one, she'd obviously be nervous. Number two, it's not her bow, which matters more than you might think. Number three, it's metal with aluminum arrows, while she shoots wood with wood. It would actually probably take her a few shots to learn the bow. Get it? Because they're all pigs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For your consideration.
Politeness.
thanks.
Yeah.
You're considering genius. Genius.
compliments,
I thought they hated me.
They must have liked your guts.
To cat,
or wanted to put a target on your back. Just saying.
I have to say, my heart stopped. Did any of you experience this as well?
Gotta give it up for Stanley Tucci. Dude was born to play a disillusioned talk show host in a dystopian young adult future.
Very specific, but yeah. Yeah, I love Stanley Tucci in these movies.
Manners.
Priorities.
something to change me.
A great conversation between these two is Katniss is finally starting to believe he's a decent guy and might actually care for her. And going forward in the series, it's amazing that changing Peeta is the one thing they do accomplish in spades.
Oh, that shaking.
Seriously, this isn't something we can even comprehend. The absolute terror. J-Law sells it masterfully, and it still gives me a pit in my stomach.
Oh man, just seeing her shaking, man. It's like I've had times where I speak publicly, and yeah, I feel like I go through that same thing where I'm like shaking and all. But she has an even worse situation where she's literally going into an arena where there's a high likely chance she'll die. It's like, oh man, I just can't imagine the terror she would be going through. Yeah.
Man, I forgot there was actual kid blood in this.
Oh yeah, there
Wow,
is.
but still, and here's
Like, how did this not get an R rating, honestly, just for that blood? Like, kid blood, too.
our second reason shaky cam was used deliberately. It absolutely adds to the chaos of the bloodbath, but also makes the blood harder to focus on, since, you know, kids, man.
I said something similar, too, with their CinemaWins' recent video, yeah. Though I didn't bring up the blood part. Maybe that's why, maybe that's why it was rated PG-13, because we didn't focus on the blood too much. Yeah. Please don't
James Newton Howard
copyright
is a
claim
genius.
this video because of the
Tension,
music.
fear, the adrenaline, it's all captured without a single sound effect.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
visuals and Howard's beautiful score.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to get away fast. Slinky, for when you get bored running for your life and avoiding death at every turn. I guess you could use it as a garrote. Garrett?
Maybe.
A trap she never uses. Oh, wait.
That's another one. Yeah, I pointed that out too. Like, CinemaWins said that. A trap she never uses. She does use it, and Lee pointed it out too.
A little ironic that Snow's analogy for Katniss was a spreading fire, and he instructed Seneca to
Contain it.
and Seneca chose a forest fire to try to contain her. It might be confusing that this parachute comes from Haymitch, but you'll notice the scene right before he's actually schmoozing with the Richies to pay for the medicine. So they pay, he sends.
That's another one from Sins that he acknowledged that yeah. You get it. If you've seen my Everything Wrong with CinemaWins Hunger Games, you know that, yeah.
I think those are tracker jackers.
Here's another way we get some exposition without hearing Katniss's thoughts. The commentators are a great addition to explain things like tracker jackers.
Yeah.
Brutal. That's a brutal way to go out. Just ask my girl Veda. See, I would have said she should have just waited up in the tree until the tracker jackers were gone, but yeah, the hallucinations definitely would have thrown her to her death. So, good call.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Saving your friend, who's having a terrible trip. Solid evidence as to why Katniss is the head of the house, and she is the way she is.
Yeah. Yeah, because the dad died. Yep.
Sharing your squirrel bones with a new friend,
Rue.
or Grusling or whatever. Anti-stormtrooper aim. Also a bit of a callback to when she hit the apple to get that 11.
Sure. R.I.P. Rue.
In the books, Katniss talks about how much Rue reminds her of Prim, and it's the reason she just about loses it when Rue dies. In the movie, they make a point of showing her sing to Prim in the beginning after her nightmare. Now she sings that same song to Rue, nailing that connection home for the viewers.
Yep, I said that too. Yep. That's Deep in the Meadow, I think that song is called, yeah. And she also sang it to her kids at the very end of the series. Yeah.
Now she realizes she can win. She can kill when she has to, even without thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And now she gives that act of defiance back to the people that inspired her.
I'm not good at saying something.
Then come here.
There's an interesting dynamic between these two at this point that the film does another great job of showing rather than telling. Peter Pocket clearly has feelings for her, but she still seems unsure if he's just playing the game. Katniss is clearly playing the game, but he doesn't seem to know if she's sincere or not. Still, these moments are performed really well by both of them.
I'm trying to think back to that. Like, again, I saw the movies first before the books. I'm trying to remember, did I put together that Katniss was just playing along? I can't remember exactly. It's been a while, obviously, but yeah. I mean, I know now, yeah, she was playing along just so they can get gifts, yeah.
You might be thinking, but doesn't Katniss outweigh this girl by like 20 pounds? Shouldn't...
Oh yeah, she. I'm trying to see that. Where's the pounds? Oh, sorry. Wait, 100. Oh, I see it. Sorry, I was looking at the age, but no, the pounds right there. Sorry about that.
Shouldn't that matter? Well, that's why this knife doesn't go directly into her face.
Ah, okay.
In combat training your whole life, size doesn't matter against a novice or even sometimes an expert. Just ask Hoist Gracie.
Yep, I said the same thing.
I know this is a serious moment, but bad lip reading forever ruined it. I can only see Katniss making goat noises.
I haven't seen that video, so it hasn't ruined it for me.
At some point, strength and weight do matter. But had he not caught her off guard, she still probably could have defended herself. Also, that's what you get for torturing that poor iguana.
I'll take the bow. I'm just kidding.
Life and death situation jokes. Hugging. So I get that the dog finale is a little goofy, but to be honest, to go full mutation may have been pushing it a little too far for the viewing audience. It still works. People who read the book know the truth, and the ignorant aren't totally freaked right the heck out right now.
Yeah, that's one change that I know some book fans were upset about that. In the books, of course, those things were a lot scarier. They had like dead tributes faces on there. Like there was like Rue's faces on one of them, and it was like really scary. And the movies, they're just kind of like regular dogs or whatever, or giant mutated dogs or whatever. I mean, I kind of get why it was disappointing, but at the same time, I'm not that bothered by it because I don't know how well they would have translated. Like, I just try to imagine those things in live action. I feel like they would have looked too scary. I'm not sure. I just don't know how good it would have looked. So that's why personally it doesn't bother me. It's one of those changes. I get it, you know. Because that's most of the Hunger Games series. Most of the changes, I'm just like, I get it. I mean, there are some where I'm like, yeah, the book did it better, but for the most part, yeah, the movies adapt the books really well.
And the build up to this scene and then payoff is one of the most tense sequences in the film. Ha, Peter Bread finally gets to show off his strength.
He does, doesn't he?
I always was, right? I didn't know that till now.
For all the people stuck in their echo chamber, to use a 2017 catchphrase about a 2012 film, Cato is one of the few to actually break through, and maybe start to wonder if he's actually just a victim. And since the dogs clearly attacked him, the game makers don't care about him either. Which, no matter how much of a jerkface he was, he's still a kid. It's just a genuinely sad moment.
Yep. One of the biggest themes of the whole series is that Hamish talks about in the next movie, there are no winners in the Hunger Games. Even if you survive, you're under the Capitol forever. Or no matter what you do in Hunger Games, the Capitol always wins. And that's always what made it sad, yeah.
Smart idea from Peta, since shooting Cato in the face
Yeah.
would have made him drag Peta down with him.
Yep, I said that too.
A little heartbreaking brutality. And then some mercy.
One of us has to die. They have to have their victor.
No, they don't. Why should they?
This is a turning point for Katniss. She starts the film telling Peta
I just can't afford to think like that.
because she needs to go home, and that's all that mattered. Now she's seeing the bigger picture. Even though I think Katniss was smart enough to know they're not going to let them martyr themselves, she's still taking the risk that they'd either let them die or just kill them both for breaking the rules. Little did the Capitol know that she would probably be less effective as a dead martyr.
Right.
No one's ever gonna make me kill myself. Oh. Also, bet you wish you were still filming plastic bags, huh, Ricky? Also comeuppance.
How ironic. Yeah, berries.
I forgot how crucial the score was in the emotion of this film. Does this redeem Last Airbender even more? I feel like it does.
I mean, I haven't seen the Last Airbender movie, but yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, my wife is still Team Gale.
Is anybody Team Gale? I've never been Team Gale. I never even saw Gale as a companion for her. I always thought it was Peta. I've always rooted for Katniss to be with Peta. So yeah, it's just weird to me. It's just weird to me to think that anybody wanted Katniss to be with Gale. You know, I mean, especially since later on what he does in Mockingjay, being all pro murder. Yeah, it's like, no. Why would you be Team Gale? I mean, I hope that's not offending any actual Team Gale fans out there, if there's any watching this. Yeah. Don't copyright claim this video, please.
This is Arcade Fire? How did I not know that? Arcade Fire is always a win. into the Civil Wars as well. Apparently, I need to get the Hunger Games soundtrack. I'll start
I mean, I like it on Spotify, yeah.
with the metaphor I think Collins was taking a stab at. This movie is a bit of an indictment of capitalist economies and maybe more specifically the American dream in that it's supposed to be available to everyone.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
That statement is absolutely oxymoronic as it pertains to these 24 kids. The odds can only be in the favor of one person. The system is literally designed that way. And Kato finally realizes the system is rigged when the dogs come out. Even though he's the best choice, the odds were actually in his favor. He could still be killed at a moment's notice.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
And it's nailed home even harder when there's just 2 of them left standing. It's objectively an oversimplification of capitalism, and the only solution Collins really offers going forward is anarchy. But the symbolism is in there if you look for it.
Tax Act has live experts on hand, so you don't have to sweat your taxes. We're like the...
Skip!
Outside of that, the whole premise and setup of the story and universe is very solid. The idea that the simple act of volunteering as a member from an outlying district would spark a revolution makes perfect sense. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
catalyst that brings Haymitch around and gives him hope after what we can only assume has been years of depression. It's the reason Cinna makes sure Katniss is noticed, and right from this moment, she inspired the disenfranchised, which, whether she knew it or not, then spurred her own rebellion on. There's some pretty in-your-face satire meant to hold a mirror up to our own gluttonous pig faces that I'm sure not one person missed. For the record, I've been saying we're only a few years away from gladiators in the Colosseum for, well, years.
Really?
Honestly, it's hard to tell if this series is more a condemnation of the 1% and corporations or a tyrannical government. 6 and 1, Collins sort of combines them. Either way, they illustrate the grotesqueness of the decadence with nausea-inducing perfection. Our culture's desensitization to the horrors around us is only further dulled by our obsession with things like reality TV, a medium that we all know is mostly faked and staged. So flipping back and forth between reality and reality can blur the lines of reality. It gets to the point where we just accept the atrocities of our world as immutable or worse, necessity.
Yeah, it's just hearing all that, it really does make me go, oh yeah, I'm like desensitized to so many bad things happening. It is kind of scary. It's really nice that Collins addressed all that. Yeah. Well, he said something else too. Oh yeah, the whole thing with. It also made me think about that. He mentioned like interviews, like something else. These books and movies do really well is like they're staging interviews. It was like, we know that, Katniss is just like staging her romance with Peeta. It made me think about like interviews in real life. Like, they're not always accurate, maybe they're just saying something that they want their viewers to hear, It's makes me realize how the world is. I don't know. Yeah, I think you get what I'm saying.
For your favorites, you cry when they get killed. It's sick.
Damn.
If no one watches, then they don't have a game.
Are we as sick as these fluorescent freaks yet? Hopefully not.
I hope not.
Every time I go back to the story, I feel the mirror, and it makes me question my sympathies. Even more so with the books, obviously. My wife and I were both finishing these books on vacation right around the time the actors had been announced. Why were we reading books meant for tweens in our mid-20s? That's not really the point, is it, you judgmental viewer, you?
Hey, I read these books when I was 21, okay? Well, I guess it's close enough to teens, but whatever.
We were a little put off by the casting of Mystique. She's very different from the physical description of Katniss.
She is.
But she does capture her spirit and fire. She always manages to come off like she's playing dress-up in the Capitol. You can tell when she's acting. And as I pointed out already, she manages to telegraph Katniss's inner monologue without saying a word.
Yeah.
And I give her some
She's a really
credit
good
for
actress.
a lot of what makes Katniss a great, newish character. I'm not saying tough as nails, emotionally shut-off female leads or anything new. The Brides, Ripleys, and Sarah Connors have been kicking butt for decades.
That's true.
And even now, looking at it from a post-Rey and Jyn world, it's not like Katniss broke the mold. But partnering up with the mostly ineffectual Peeta adds a new level to the archetype. You know.
Yeah. Oh man, that's something else too. I just remember Movie Flame. I recommended one of his videos, but he talked about like one of the best things about Katniss, the fact that she's a strong female character. Probably the best thing about that is that the books and movies don't really like address her gender. They don't really like the fact that she's a woman. Almost doesn't matter. Like, obviously there is the fact that she's a girl, but other than that, the fact that like she goes through this whole story and it doesn't really matter all that much that she's a girl, and that's part of what makes it powerful. She's just like, there's no like sexism in Panem. The boys and girls are treated the same, and I feel like that's a decent female representation. I'm not an expert on this, but for me it feels right, I wonder if that's gonna be controversial.
Pita Pocket, the kid from Pan Am, who bakes bread and then saves
Yeah.
Katniss's life with it. Bread and circuses, anyone? You know, not to be confused with the wheat, I mean tributes that are part of like their egg. And Hutcherson plays the part really well.
He does.
Banks was exactly how I pictured Effie, and Woody Harrelson didn't have to try too hard to play an indifferent drunk. When he comes around, he has a warmness to him as well.
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci obviously stole the show, but Donald Sutherland really makes you hate his guts even in the short time he was on screen.
Yep. R.I.P. Donald Sutherland. Yep, he did a really great job.
We're always going to have issues with movies that are trying to set up a sequel. And I totally get that. Stop trying to take all my money. But
Yeah.
in the era of the adaptation, it's more difficult. Especially when the books themselves are written to set up a sequel or even specifically a planned series to begin with. But Hunger Games actually tells a complete story, albeit open-ended.
Yeah, it
And they
does.
started the short-lived young adult dystopian kill-the-kid genre trend, or at least popularized them getting adapted to film.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I know Maze Runner and Divergent came after this. So yeah, I mean I've seen Maze Runner. I thought they were all right. I have not seen the Divergent movies, but I've heard they're really bad. So who knows if I'll ever see those.
Makes you wonder what the next big trend might be.
Cinematic universes. I mean, well, actually, we're kind of out of that trend now. I feel like. Well, actually, now the trend is multiverse. So yeah.
Probably something with the elderly, I'm thinking. Or since we're all about nostalgia these days,
Still.
adapting some classics. Where's my Catcher in the Rye movie? Oh, it's too offensive. Yeah, you're probably right. Well, next week is only an adaptation in the way that everything is an adaptation.
I cannot tell what that frame is. 113.
Maybe you should throw the sword.
Kind of surprised it's the only time I've heard that joke with the girl on fire. Sorry, I know it doesn't really matter, but I'm always curious with the teaser frames, like what exactly he was teasing. Again, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but yeah. This video came out in 2017, so it's almost 10 years old, which is pretty crazy to think about. Let me look. 5 years ago, 6 years ago. There it is. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy. Huh. Cool. All right, and that is my reaction to CinemaWins' Hunger Games video. So, yep, not too much of a conclusion I can think of, except, yeah, it's a good video. I like it, and you can probably let me know in the comments what's the next CinemaWins video I'll do. I'm still not sure yet, but we'll see how it goes. So, hopefully you enjoyed this. Peace.